It's the 8 for 52 podcast.
Hi, I'm Bonners.
G'day, I'm Buschy.
This is episode 4 of the 8 for 52 Buschy. As always, you can DM us on Insta. Get into that. Insta's going off now, Buschy. We've got plenty of followers.
It's up like 10-15% overnight.
Yeah. We're getting up near 300 now. Really starting to go off. So, going really well. And we've got any Instagrams going off. What about our listeners? Where are they coming from this week?
Well, I'll let you know. We talked about it in one of the earlier podcasts. Bosnia and Herzegovina, they're still listening.
Bosnia.
2 people each week having a listen. I can see it on the stats. That's amazing. If you're in Bosnia and listening right now, do send us an email. Tell us who you are, and we'll give you a shout-out next week on episode 5.
Yeah, get us on that Instagram. DM us on Insta. Send us a message. Get on. Have a look at our Insta site if you're not one of the followers already. And we'd love to have a chat with you.
I could also just email.
Email at what is the email?
I think it's podcast
852 at iCloud.com.
That's the one.
It is indeed. Either way, we'd love to hear from you in Bosnia.
And also a big shout out to the listeners in Karachi, Pakistan.
Ah, fantastic.
Big cricket fans over there.
Well, I'll tell you what that'll be. That'll be the boys over there playing.
I thought so, but these were before that.
Oh, right.
So we've got listeners in Karachi, plus the over 40s are in Karachi, so we should have lots of listeners for episode 4.
Absolutely.
Karachi, Pakistan.
Absolutely. We'll be going off in Karachi, Pakistan. Buschy, I've got one word for you for this week. Cricket. We have some.
It wasn't storm, wasn't black rain, wasn't typhoon.
We didn't get all the cricket in. Some was washed out, but at least we've got some cricket to talk about, and we'll cover that in the outs and ins as always. And then we'll move on to the ins and outs for the weekend. We've got a big weekend of cricket in front of us. And Buschy, this week, we've got my story with the one and only Anshuman Rath.
What a legend. Anshuman Rath. It was so good talking to you. Listen to the interview. It's coming up later in the show. And plenty to chat about on Sky Road Plaza. That's our international section.
Absolutely. We'll be covering all the men's. They're down in Malaysia doing warm-up
I'm
Asian
not
games.
talking about those games.
Right.
I've watched the first 2. You can talk about those.
I'll cover that one. What about the ladies?
I'll be covering all the Asian games. The women's team, of course, they're in Hangzhou at the moment. They've played a couple of games. Different team to normal because of the eligibility rules, bots.
Just on that eligibility, during the week, Cricket Hong Kong retweeted, so following it on the 8 for 52 podcast, not just on Insta, but we're on Twitter, on X as well. They retweeted an article from the South China Morning Post about, and it did cover eligibility, saying how the likes of Mariko, Yasmin and Shanzin weren't eligible. And some persons called Front Foot Drive responded to that article, replied and said, Cricket Hong Kong China should have known about this problem for ages. And yet other sports have sorted this out. For example, rugby, who could win gold. Are the executive committee and management fast asleep, or don't they care? Why send a second 11?
That's a bit harsh.
Well, that's what the podcast thought as well. So our podcast reached out to Front Foot Drive and said, candidate for the dumbest tweet ever. Current yellow jersey. Which is polite.
It was rather polite.
It's polite. It's to the point. It gets the point across.
Yeah.
But yet polite.
We can talk about the eligibility rules in depth during Sky Road Plaza. But
hang on, Front Foot Drive.
Oh, they're still going.
Yeah, it comes back. Disagree. Chance to have cricket at the Sports Institutes. Throw every resource into effort and get your best players Hong Kong passports. Had 4 years to plan, worth millions for cricket. That's why Hong Kong rugby's successful. Well, Front Foot Drive is really getting right on that front foot, right? So podcast responds, your intentions seem good, but you have no understanding of the reality. That's okay. Get on the front foot and drive. You'll edge a few, you'll miss a couple, and get out a few in the middle. Then.
They're still going.
No.
Oh, okay.
A third player enters the room.
Oh.
A third player enters the room.
Enters the chat.
Justin Pearce enters the chat.
Okay.
You know Justin Pearce?
I don't.
No. Justin Pearce was the board member of Cricket Hong Kong.
Oh, he probably knows a few things.
For 5 years, 2012 to 2017.
Uh-huh.
And then took over as interim CEO. So he gets himself involved. The point about HKSI is correct, and it was a strategic imperative of Cricket Hong Kong since 2015. Well, hang on. That's on your watch, Pearce, right? That's when you were on the board. It's when you were CEO. So I'm not sure why you're piping up now, right? To get Tier A status, there had to be an Asian Games achieved, and there would be need to be a podium finish, blah, blah, blah. To do this, needs a best 11 on the field and overcome eligibility issues. Well, was on his watch he's talking about. He couldn't overcome those eligibility issues, so I don't know what front foot drive and him are going on about. Anyway, it goes on. Pearce, the front foot drive comes back again, blurts something out. Pearce comes back again. How you implement the strategy is the key. Clearly some of the best players, blah, blah, blah. Look, the fact of the matter is, right, these are the facts. The Asian Games, cricket hasn't been in the Asian Games 2014.
Okay.
Right, for a start, yeah? To get a passport is what is required to play in the Asian Games, right? So these guys are advocating players to get Hong Kong passports, and that's fine. Some of them may choose to do that, but to do so, the first step is become a Chinese citizen,
Correct.
okay? Which means you've got to give up your passport and citizenship of another country. Right? Enormously massive decision when, I don't know what the Cricket Hong Kong pay the contracted players, but a lot of these people will have careers. Now, they're eligible for the ICC Games, that's the ICC rules, and then you've got all this, the Asian Games with the different rules. These people are advocating young people to give up the citizenship of their country to become Chinese citizens. Fantastic. Some may choose to do so, but you need to respect those who don't. We're on Twitter, as you can see. We'll engage.
Apparently.
Exactly.
Podcast.
And,
what is it? 852 podcast.
What are we called? What are we called on Twitter? The 8 for 52 podcast.
Easy to find.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, if Front Foot Drive or Justin Pearce, if you want to reach out again, we're more than happy to engage on Twitter, Instagram, or any which way you like.
This is the 8 for 52 podcast with Botters and Buschy. On with the show.
It's time for Outs and Ends, a full wrap of senior cricket games in Hong Kong from last weekend. Here's Botters.
All right, outs and ins, and we're at USRC again by the pool. Buschy, absolutely beautiful, beautiful USRC. Let's go through outs and ins, and we do have some games to talk about, mate. It's fantastic. Saturday Div 2. HKU, they got on. They batted first. And off their 35 overs, they were 9 for 149. Set up largely by their opener, Yakzan Rajan, who scored 84 off 79. And he had a 93 opening partnership, Buschy, with Krishna. LSW Thunder, they came out and they were absolutely steamrolled for 71. 4 wickets for Tyrone Rangasangi, pick of the bowlers. So it's good to get a Div 2 game out of the way, Buschy. Fantastic.
LSW out for less than what Rajan scored.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. 13 less, right?
Very impressive.
Yeah, no, day out for Rajan out there. Good win for HKU. Table, Buschy?
It's a long one. Bear with me. At the top of the table, played 2 games, won 1, lost and abandoned 1. HKU in second place with 1 game played, 1 win is Little Saiwan leaders. HKCC Witherers have just a 1 point from abandonment.
What's a witherer?
I have no idea. I would have thought something that withered away. They're not withering away at the moment. They're third on the ladder. We should get someone from HKCC.
They withered away last year. They were relegated.
Well, this is true. Now they haven't actually played a game. They're on 1 point. Actually, the next 4 also haven't played a game. It was abandoned. Kaitak, USRC, Laguna Gully, Centaurs. They're all on the 1 point. And then 2 teams have lost a game, Craigenauer and Little Saiwan Thunder, and yet to play a game, KCC Saracens, SCC Lancers and India Club Surya, all also on 0 points.
Very good. Saturday, Div 1, 2 matches abandoned. Who was that? Jingsung and PACC, Gap Ramblers, Charlie Bears. And the Tartars Crusaders game wasn't abandoned, it was moved. It's moved to November 4, I understand. Buschy table, Saturday Div 1.
Well, just pulling it up now. Saturday Div 1. Charlie Bears top of the table, only because they've played 2 games and they've both been washed out. So they've got 2 points. Same goes with the Optimists. I believe it's the Optimists or is it the Ramblers? It's the Ramblers. I apologise. There's so many teams. The Ramblers also 2 points from 2 abandoned games. Lama Cricket. Hang on, this table does not have any games played.
All right, don't worry about the table. Anyway, it's mostly washouts. Don't worry. Let's move on. Sunday Div 2, mate. We were out there 2 games scheduled and 2 games played in Sunday Div 2.
Indeed. The first game was the one we called.
Yeah, we were
Infidels versus the Sri Lankan Lions.
Yeah, we were out there. It was a good day. Good day out. Full day of cricket, no rain interruptions. Infidels all out for 363.
Well, they were all out for 358. And then they got an extra 5 points after putting over 300 runs on the board. To add insult to injury, the Lions had a slow bowling rate and got slapped for 5 points. 5 runs.
Penalty runs, that's right. Atik Iqbal coming in at number 9, top scoring with 70, although if you were looking at Crick HQ a couple of hours ago, it had him at 64 or 66. was a bit of a shambles with Cricket HQ on the weekend, Bush.
It was. It wasn't a great day. We had a lot of. If you were listening live, you would have noticed we had a lot of scoring issues. But in the end, it wasn't that hard to work out. One team scored 363, and the other one just got a tick over the ton.
Yeah, just on the Cricket HQ, just a bit of advice for Sri Lanka Lions, and I'm absolutely no criticism of the volunteer scorer who was there themselves. But this is not under 11's game. This is Sunday Div 2, and you need to send out people who know how to use Cricket HQ and actually know the players, and then don't get up in the middle of the game to give players drinks and just walk away from the scoring as well. So you need to have properly trained people. It really delayed the game in numerous times, and those penalty runs could well have come from scoring delays, right?
There was a few of those, and knowing the players in the Sunday Elite is paramount. I mean, we're talking the elite of Hong Kong cricket, Div 1, Div 2. You should know your players because it really slows the game down when we're scoring and trying to commentate.
So call out for the Lions, just get someone fully trained up and get them down there, and the game will run a lot more smoothly. Yeah, 363, Buschy. But it wasn't as impressive as it sounds. 6 of the 7 infidels got themselves out of the top order.
Actually, right now, I'm going to put a little clip from our game on Sunday, you commentating, with you giving some advice to the infidels.
Tremendously competitive. A lot to improve on, though, for the infidels, Buschy. A lot to improve on. They're going to have to be better than that later in the season against some of the other teams, especially the HKCC teams. Batting lineup, most of the batting lineup for the infidels would be disappointed with the way they were dismissed. They've got to get better later in the season.
You're a harsh captain here, Captain Botfield.
Just telling the facts as they are.
358 on the board. Not happy.
You just got to be honest and true with yourself, right? 6 of the top 7 got themselves out. There was hundreds out there for them. They didn't convert. They're all better than that. And when they come up against, let's be honest, the stronger teams, they're going to have to perform better. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Captain Botfield giving his advice live on the coverage on Sunday. And a quick shout out to Dyer from the Lions. He got 3 wickets.
I will just say that Captain Atiq Iqbal totally agrees with everything I said.
He went back and listened to the game while we were just having a post-game beverage, cup of tea. And
his post-match talk was aligned with my commentary, so I take a lot of credit out of that. Thank you very much. Now, up the hill, it was the Dragons and the Optimists. Now, the Dragons batted first, and they were all out for 242, an absolutely great score, Buschy.
Fantastic effort by the Dragons. Not expected, especially as we discussed on last week's podcast. It was a Dragons home game, but they had to play up the hill at HKCC, and they put on a good total.
Yeah, 242, very good score. 57 from Thinlay Kenchub, 44 for Jason Liu, but a whopping 53 extras from the Optimists, which nearly ended up top score, 31 wides. And, I know it's early in the season, right, and a lot of players, especially the quicks, haven't been able to get outside and train, but it's probably a bit too much. It's early. They'll improve off the back of that, the Optimists. In the 22nd over of the Optimist innings, the Dragons had the Optimists 4 for 113.
They must have thought they were in with a shout. We thought they were in for a shout.
Victory was in sight, without a doubt. And at that time, though, Harry Flory was out there batting well, and he was joined in the middle by Siegfried Y.
Siegfried Y, the one that plays for Cricket Hong Kong Dragons?
The same Siegfried Y, who's the Dragons' captain, I thought.
Well, it doesn't look like... Apparently he's not this year, because now he's playing for the Optimists.
Evidently, yes, because he went out and joined Flory in the middle at 4 for 113. And 20 overs later, Flory has brought up his maiden century, exactly 100 not out, and Ziggy's 63 not out, and the Optimists win. So I wonder how Ziggy felt.
Well, he must have been in two. He's probably very happy, to be honest. He was happy he was on the winning side with the Optimists. The Dragons might have been a little upset, but that's cricket.
Yeah, it is indeed. Anyway, good luck with Ziggy. He's obviously he's an Optimist now, so good luck to him for the season. We got a table there, Buschy?
We do, and it's finally been updated. If all the scoring has been done incorrectly, not incorrectly, but put in the system correctly.
Eventually.
Well, maybe incorrectly. No, right. The table, Sunday Elite Div 2, top of the table with their massive win. The KCC Infidels played 2, 1-1, 1 abandoned, 3 points, net run rate plus 5.2.
Yeah, it's significantly higher.
And also on 3 points, but with a much less net run rate, is the Hong Kong Cricket Club. Just checking which one it is. It's the Optimists. And they have won 1, which they won against the Dragons. Abandoned 1, 3 points, net run rate of 0.995. The other Hong Kong Cricket Club team has played 1, 1-1. That's Wanderers. They've got a decent net score run rate as well of plus 4.0 on 2 points. Dragons played 2, lost 2. They're on 0 points. Sri Lankan Lions, who played the Infidels, played 1, lost 1, 0 points. And yet to play a game is Little Saiwan, so they're bottom of the table.
Excellent. And in Sunday Div 1, unfortunately, as we predicted last week, Mission Road was in no state to play cricket, so Pakistan Association and LSW was abandoned. And that, Buschy, is it for Outs and Ins this week.
Hi, I'm Michael Vaughan, and you're listening to the 8 for 52 podcast with Botters and Buschy.
It's time for Ins and Outs, with all the weekend senior games covered. Here's Botters.
All right, Ins and Outs, here we go. 8 matches this weekend, a big weekend of cricket. Unfortunately, there's no Sunday Division 1 scheduled. Let's get into Saturday Division 2, first off with this 4-game schedule. First one, Kaitak and the LSW leaders at GDB. And it's a very important game, this for Kaitak, because I don't want the leaders to get too far away on the table early in a big fight for promotion. I'll tip Kaitak in this one. Witherers Hung C at HKCC. Witherers will win that. USRC Tigers versus the Saracens. Tigers for me in this one. And finally, India Shiraz versus the Centaurs out at Cam Tin. I'll take the home team in that one, the India Club. Saturday Div 1, Punjab Lions versus USRC at Mission Road. Hopefully they'll get on there this week.
I can't see how.
Oh, no. It's
in disrepair. It's going to take some work. And I did see head groundskeeper Jashim. He's still in Hangzhou.
Still up there.
He's watching the ladies.
No shoes on, walking around the ground.
I don't know if he's working. He's enjoying the cricket, though.
Yeah, that's good on him. Good on him. Well, under-19s are training out there tonight at Mission Road, so I'll get a report later from some of the squad members of what it looks like. But, yeah, it is doubtful, I'd say. Punjab Lions versus USRC. If they get on, I'll tip Punjab. HKCC Nomads versus Lama. That one's out of PKVR Park, so they'll definitely get on there on the artificial surface. Nomads will be way too strong in that one. Sunday Div 2, Buschy.
Just one game up the hill.
Yeah.
Wanderers and the LSW Knights.
The Knights finished second last year, just missed out on promotion to Div 1 up against the Wanderers who've come down from Div 1. So that could be a really good battle.
And would be. I think that's a good one.
Who are you tipping?
LSW.
Okay. I'll go the Wanderers. I think at home the Wanderers will be too strong up there. That is it for Ins and Outs.
Wait. There's one
not?
more Ins and Outs.
Yeah, what?
There's a game on Sunday at KCC that I'm calling live on the KCC YouTube. Biggest game of the weekend, if you ask me.
Under 15.
Under 15's Elite has begun, and because the game's on at KCC, and I'm always just sitting there in a plastic chair, they just put a tent over me at
Might
night.
as well put a microphone
Put a microphone on me while I'm over there, and I'll be calling that live on the KCC YouTube page.
Morning or afternoon?
1:30 p.m. start, very leisurely.
Beautiful. Nice way to fill the afternoon. Tune in KCC YouTube site and watch a bit of under 15s cricket.
Typhoons versus the USRC team, where we are today.
The up-and-coming generation of Hong Kong cricket live on the KCC YouTube. Tune in with Buschy. That's it for Ins and Outs.
It's time for My Story, where the elites of cricket in Hong Kong tell us their story.
All right, now it's time for My Story.
Wait, what? My story? What happened to PPF, past, present and future?
I decided to park PPF for the rest of the season. We've converted it into My Story.
So PPF is much more past than present or future.
It's in the past. Let's look forward. It's My Story, and what a privilege it is to have one Mr. Anshuman Rath with us. We're recording up at the Hong Kong Cricket Club, the beautiful Hong Kong Cricket Club, and with us is one and only Anshuman Rath. Welcome.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for giving up your time for us. Now, what we do in My Story is everyone knows Anshuman Rath, the cricketer, and we will talk cricket for sure, but we want to hear a little bit about your story and where it all began.
Well, it began here, really. I was, 5 years old? You know, my dad dragging my ass out of bed to gappers at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, and the love for the game grew. You know, obviously being of Indian, heritage, and, cricket kind of runs through the blood, and I just loved my time here. You couldn't get me out of this club. And, that's where my love for the game grew. Fortunately enough, I was able to take my cricket overseas as well, and just kind of developed from there really. But grassroots level was definitely here at HKCC.
Who were some of your very first coaches in that Gappers program? Do you remember?
Oh, quite a few. We had Jawed Iqbal, who's now our manager at Cricket Hong Kong for donkey's years. He was one of my first few coaches. Tabarak Dar, ex-Hong Kong captain, he was my coach. We had the legendary Mark Wright, who was also my coach for a long time. So quite a few.
You were in very safe hands from a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you went to school here in Hong Kong. Whereabouts? I've got West Island High School written.
Yeah. So from since I was born to 14, been in Hong Kong. Went to West Island School. Then was fortunate enough to get a scholarship for cricket to Harrow School in London. So
how old were you when you went across to London?
I was 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, very young. So you hadn't debuted for the national team yet.
I
debuted
debuted just before I left.
So how old were you when you debuted?
14.
14 years old. Fantastic. So from your dad dragging you up here as a 5-year-old, 9 years later, you're donning the national kit and you're on a scholarship to the UK.
Yeah, I personally don't think I was ready, but we had a really good coach at the time for Cricket Hong Kong who really invested in a lot of young players, the likes of Chappie, myself, Jamie Atkinson was captain, Irfan Ahmed, Nadeem Ahmed, Nizakat, Azaz, that crop of players, he really pushed through, and we kind of stuck together for a good 3, 4, 5 years. That took us to World Cup qualifications, almost qualifying for the 50 over World Cup in 2015, top 10 in the world. It was that crop of guys under Charlie Burke that really, really, bumped us up, and we had a really good crop of players.
Charlie Burke is an avid listener to the podcast, so you can give him a shout out.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his name there.
Shout out to Burkey. What an absolute legend he is.
Safely back home in Perth now in the AFL.
Yes, absolutely.
So you were in Harrow and also doing international duties?
Yeah, so I was going back and forth, obviously having to get permission from my teachers, and it was quite tough to balance both of them. Some absolutely horrible flights in terms of timing, and getting from Hong Kong to back to London, straight to Hong Kong, and then to Australia to play a one-day game the next day, and it was crazy, but it definitely made me stronger mentally for sure, doing all the hours.
Quite a teenage years.
Absolutely.
It's a bit more exciting than mine.
A lot of frequent flyer points for a young man.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where they went. I think my dad claimed all of them, to be honest.
Well, he probably deserved it after having to bring you down to Gappers at 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
Absolutely.
What's the rule? Whoever pays gets the points, isn't that the thing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that was it the Harrow experience that led you into Middlesex?
Yeah, so there was a sort of link between Harrow and Middlesex in terms of there were a couple of Middlesex Academy players at Harrow already, and the academy directors were keeping a close eye on students at Harrow School. And I went into Harrow School with a cricket scholarship. And apparently the scholarship was between me and Sam Curran.
Oh, really?
And, I was a little bit smarter than him, so they went with me.
Take that, Sam Curran.
Pretty sure they regret that decision, but... But yeah, so Middlesex kept a close eye on that, and then I basically filtered through, had a couple of trial games, got into the winter program, and then kind of went on from there.
Oh, that must have been a tremendous experience. So you played in that Middlesex system for how long?
So I was there from 14 to 18/19, yeah.
And then couldn't get the visa to stay, yeah?
Yeah, it was... I wasn't allowed to play professional cricket in England on a student visa.
Right.
Yeah, which is what happened.
Yeah. So the next move after there was back to Hong Kong.
It was back to Hong Kong for a couple of years. It was a tough decision between my my degree or quitting cricket, because in the UK I was not legally allowed to do both. So it was either this or that, and it took a lot of convincing from the parents. I had to really convince them, because obviously, being of Asian heritage, your studies come first. So it was quite tough to convince my dad to let me follow the dream, essentially. Yeah. But credit to them, my parents. They let me do that, and I put my degree on hold. Came back to Hong Kong. and tried to figure out what my next step was, because I always wanted to push myself as much as I could, which is what I was doing in England.
Yeah.
And then New Zealand was the next destination. And I was there for 6 months, down in Christchurch, or maybe just under 6 months, which was quite tough. Canterbury very fortunately gave me a 3-year work to residence visa, so the qualifying was pretty straightforward. But again, I was 20 or 21 at the time, on the other side of the world, no parents, no family. It was a little bit tougher than I thought it would be. Had I been a little bit more mentally strong, I would have stuck it out. But I think doing 10 months a year for 3 years on your own in your roaring 20s, I was like, maybe not for me.
And it is New Zealand as well. It's not Australia, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, no comment.
Staying out of that one.
No comment.
Some big Kiwis in Hong Kong.
I was going to say, got a lot of Kiwi mates. I don't want.
Absolutely. Fair enough too. So 5-year-old, HKCC Gappers, 14 debut for Hong Kong. Next step as far as national was captain. When did that come about?
Yeah, so it's a really, really funny story. Well, not really funny at the time, but it's funny when you look back at it. So I was vice captain of the side going into the Asia Cup qualifiers.
Yeah.
Barber was captain. And we were playing a couple of practice games against Malaysia. This was 2 days before the main tournament. And the main tournament was brutal. It was 50 overs. You've got Oman, Nepal, UAE, us, Malaysia, Singapore. And you're playing 2 games back-to-back with 1 rest day in between. So 2 games rest, 2 games rest, game, and then the final. And it's only 1 team that qualifies for the Asia Cup. So it was a brutal tournament. So we had a couple of practice games against Malaysia. And while we were playing, Barber was captaining. And Barber comes up to me, we're batting, and Barber comes up to me, we've both gotten out or we've retired or whatever it was. Barber comes up to me and says, Anshu, you're captain. I was like, what, for this innings? And he's like, no, for the tournament. And I'm just looking dumbfounded. He's not even told Cookie yet, who was our head coach. And I'm just going, wait, what? I think I was what, 20 or 19?
Classic Barber move.
Yeah, he just says, no, I don't want to do it. No explanation, nothing. And I'm like, whoa, I can't really say no, can I? I mean, we're playing day after tomorrow in our first game against Malaysia. And then he kind of tells Cookie, and Cookie's like, well, we don't have a choice. We have a vice captain for a reason. So then we had the team meetings, the captain's meetings, with the photo with the trophy and stuff like that. So I ended up having to go to that.
Sure.
And Paras Khadka, who is the captain of Nepal at the time, absolute legend and GOAT of associate cricket, he comes up to me and he's like, Anshu, where's Barber? I was like, mate, I don't know. He's like, is he sick or something? I was like, I don't know. So I just had no clue.
So you're appointed on the practice field by the captain to be the captain.
Yeah. Literally 2 days before the competition.
And as you say, a brutal tournament coming out.
Absolute brutal tournament. And we'd absolutely smashed Malaysia in those practice games. That first game, the tournament opener was against Malaysia, and we lost that game. And I'm just thinking, holy shit, we're about to play UAE, Nepal, Oman, all the other teams. We've lost to one of the weaker teams in the side on my first day as captain.
On your watch, yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, where's my resignation letter?
You didn't call Bubba over and said, Bubba, up to you again.
Nah, I think he'd clocked out by that stage. So it was all on me. But, fortunately enough, we ended up winning that tournament. The group really rallied together, and it was a fantastic performance by everybody involved.
Was that the tournament that took you into the match against India eventually? Yes.
Yeah, it was, yes.
What a great lead into that.
What a great seg. Talk to us about that.
It's great now, but it was chaotic at the time.
but it's such a good story for a podcast. Brilliant. Now we're going to get on to that Asian Games.
2018.
Asia Cup.
5 years ago exactly this week, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, 18th of September, 2018. Set 286 to win. You and Nazaka, none for 174. 34 overs you batted together. What was that like of getting it to that stage? And what were you thinking at that time? That are you going to win this?
Well, for me, I was more concerned about Nizakat not cramping up, because he was complaining about cramps the whole time. And I was like, mate, you're batting well. Don't cramp.
Keep going.
It was terrible advice, but I was just like, don't cramp.
Captain's advice.
Yeah,
don't cramp.
Don't give me that excuse. drink water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was surreal. You don't expect to do that. I think the Indians did take us a little bit lightly.
Yeah.
Obviously, for them, the main game was the India-Pakistan game, which was the next day. And, me and Nizakat, we just had that no fear factor, really. I mean, what did we have to lose?
Zero downside.
Absolutely. We did really well to restrict them to 280. I think at one stage they were set to go for 340, 350, but Kinship bowled a really good spell at the end. Azaz came back and bowled really well at the end with the slow balls. I think we used the wicket really well. I kept on telling the bowlers, let's not try to go Yorkers because the wicket's slow. Let's bowl into the wicket. And it kind of worked. And we restricted them to 280 after they probably should have got 340. Yeah. So I think we took that momentum going into our batting innings. And I just told Nizakat, just bat without fear, mate. We've got nothing to lose. How good is this? I've always been a half glass full kind of guy. So I was just like, hey, you're playing India against people, you do well here, mate. Nobody can take it away from you. And we didn't even look at targets, really. We were just like, let's survive this over. We're playing against big dogs here. We were 1 over, we survived. Keep being positive, keep playing your shots.
Just keep batting.
Just keep batting, really. Yeah, not much. And then when he started cramping, I started being like, no, don't worry, I got this. I started rotating the strike and sort of controlling the pace of the game while he was, being the aggressor, which really helped me, to be honest, and helped our partnership because, had he dotted up, then I would have been tempted to play a shot, or had he gone in his shell, something different might have happened. So I think it was just a good combination of control plus aggression, and we kind of took it to 174 runs.
I think that's a great point about cricket, especially opening partners, is batting together as a partnership.
Absolutely.
And understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses, not just as you're walking out, but as you're going through an innings, a big partnership.
100%. I think it's very overlooked nowadays with the T20 leagues and everyone just goes in to whack it. But I think it's definitely undervalued, partnerships in cricket, especially in the longer format.
Speaking of T20s and the various T20 franchise leagues around the world, you got interest in going forward in that regard and putting your name forward for them going forward?
I mean, I'd love to. I mean, if selected, of course. It's a little bit harder being from Hong Kong. I think being an associate player, you already have so many disadvantages when it comes to leagues. The name, the fame, all of that, we tend to get overlooked. So again, it's just waiting for your right opportunity. And, when you do, you kind of have to grab it. I played in the GT20 in Canada. That went really well. I had to keep wicket even though I hadn't kept wicket in 6 years. But, but again, you just got to take your opportunity when it comes. And all we can do is just wait for that opportunity and keep putting in performances. There's not really much else to do.
And speaking of opportunities, on the horizon, on the very near horizon, the T20 World Cup qualifiers to qualify for next year's World Cup in USA and West Indies. That must be one of those opportunities where you can put yourself forward, get back on that big stage again. How are you feeling about going into the qualifiers?
Yeah, feeling good. Obviously we've got our new head coach, Simon Willis. I think he's adjusted really, really well and really quickly, considering he came on quite short notice. I think he's done really well with the boys and he's developed a bond, that's sometimes been overlooked between coach and player. I think that relationship's very important in order for you to have a clear mind and, just express yourself. So I think he's done that really well. It's just a case of getting it into matches and replicating that in matches. And I think the more matches we play, the more comfortable we'll get in our roles.
Well, speaking on that, match practice for anyone in Hong Kong has been limited, to say best. We're coming up the off-season, and then the washouts, Mission Road's washed out. Now the Asian Games team is currently in Malaysia. They're getting some time out in the middle, but yourself and a few others of the big names of Hong Kong cricket are not getting any game time. Have you got any plan to prep for the qualifiers?
Yeah, well, obviously there's not much you can do with the rain. It's been proper biblical over the last 2-3 weeks. Bit of sunshine, maybe hopefully the lads can go out. But me personally, I'm off to India to get a couple of weeks of outdoor training under my belt. I'm linking up with a coach that when I was out there playing, I was training under. So, he's a fantastic coach, really, really knows his stuff. And, just kind of getting out there, getting on turf.
He's quite a famous coach, right?
He is, yeah. So he's Amol Muzumdar, who's scored donkey's runs in first-class cricket, and he averages crazy numbers. And he's Rajasthan Royals' ex-batting coach. So I think he was also the Dutch batting coach for a while in between. So he's got a bit of history with associate cricket as well. So he knows what he's doing, and I just want to kind of get out there and get my boots dirty, really.
Get out and hit some balls and
Absolutely.
dry for a period of time.
Yeah, I'm sick of facing those AstroTurf nets.
Absolutely. Then before the so after you do the sessions in India, before the actual World Cup qualifiers in Nepal, is there warm-up games organised?
Yeah, so Simon's organised a tri-series with Nepal and UAE. Officially, that is off now. I think it's subject to change. Maybe one more team adds in, or I don't know. It's not 100% set in stone, but so far.
But you guys are going to Nepal?
Yes. As of our schedules, we are going to Nepal for a tri-series against UAE and Nepal, which should be good. Getting used to the conditions.
Brilliant.
Because Nepal conditions are very different to everywhere else. You got high altitude, spinning wickets.
Ball goes a lot further just because of the altitude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy crowds.
Yeah, I mean, got 20,000 people against you is never nice. You kind of need to get used to that.
Got to channel it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for some of our lads, it's going to be a first-time experience. So it should be good fun. I think it's definitely needed, and it's a great opportunity to get used to the conditions before a big tournament.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Now, speaking of conditions, and we just touched on it earlier, the weather in Hong Kong has been miserable. So the Scorpions, who you play for here at Hong Kong Cricket Club, yet to get out of the middle. The first game was rescheduled. The second game was a washout. I think the next game is October 1st. I had it up on my screen, but you might be away for that one. So for the Scorpions, we mentioned it many a time on the podcast already, Bods.
Fair lineup.
Yeah. It's been,
Sunday champions, I believe.
Yeah, Sunday. No, we're not.
Yeah, that's interesting.
By
Interesting
default.
way to get there. Run second, get washed out.
Again, not
replay.
getting
All
involved.
Well, we'll save that for later.
Anyway, at the moment, the Scorpions do have a huge lineup with you. Zakat, Martin Kutsia, they got Shukla, and others, and they're all going to be away doing all their other things. So how's the Scorpions looking for the rest of the season, and when are you planning on being back out in the middle for the Scorpions?
So I think so far I think I'll be back around early October. I'll try to see if I can make that game, but
that's against Little Saiwan up here at Hong Kong Cricket Club, October 8.
It's just a tremendously strong unit.
Yeah,
it really is.
I don't think they're going to miss me, to be honest. I mean, with that kind of lineup with the Scorpions, I don't think they're going to miss me at all.
I think everyone will miss you, Anshu. Don't worry about that. Everyone will miss you. But, there is ample support there. But if you take out of that Scorpions team, if it arises, and we need to look at the draw more closely, if you take 7 out, it's very different to taking 1 out.
Yeah.
So hopefully for the most of the season, all you guys are able to play and available for Scorpions, because that's what we want to see, right? It's the strongest Sunday league we can, leading into the Premier League later on in the season.
Definitely. I love playing for the club, and obviously, when I organised this training session, I didn't have the greatest look at the fixtures, but I've spoken to Simon, and I think he understands, and I hope the club understand. But there are a lot of games which I will be available for.
There's also we understand an All-Star series coming up around that middle of October, so it sounds like you'll be back for that. That's just before the pre-tour, I think.
Yeah, just before the pre-tour. I think it's 10th or 11th or 12th or something like that.
15, 16, 17,
something like that. Yeah.
You're both close.
Don't tell me it's in the middle.
I believe it's 12, 13, 14, 15.
We've got a cover. The combination. Good opening partnership.
We've got the dates, we've got the players. All we need is the ground, because at the moment, Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground. Jassim, who is still up at Hangzhou, I saw him on the TV today. Come back, Jassim. We need you.
Well, it's a month from now, so let's be optimistic about it, and we get some good weather and the ground's in good condition, and have a wonderful All-Star series. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, it's always good fun to play, against the best in Hong Kong. You get a lot of up-and-coming players, likes of Shiv Mathur and stuff like that, and you got a lot of experience as well. So it's a good mix, I think.
I think All Stars is a fantastic series. We go back a few years again. Mission Road, the Hong Kong T20 Blitz was on there for a couple of seasons, which you were a key player in. Did you enjoy that time?
A bit too much. A bit too much. It was, I think I was 19 years old. You're captaining your idol. I could have just died then and there, really.
How good is that?
Oh, mate.
How good is that?
Nobody will ever take that away from me.
Yeah.
I could retire now and just be like, name drop. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic experience. Great for Hong Kong cricket as well. I think the exposure that our local players got was brilliant. It's a shame it didn't carry on because I think a lot of opportunities could have come from that. Especially now that you look at all the other associate countries are getting leagues, yet we were the first one to have a league.
That was exactly right. Hong Kong was ahead of the curve there, very much so at the associate level. Now all the others have theirs, but Hong Kong was first to the party, right?
Absolutely, and a lot of the players enjoyed their time in Hong Kong. A lot of them have been to Hong Kong before. And it was a great experience for all the players.
Anshie, thank you so much for joining us on our very first My Story. Thank you for sharing your story with us and all our listeners out there. It's been an absolute pleasure. We wish you all the very best in India initially, then through the World Cup qualifiers into the rest of the season for Hong Kong Cricket Club. We wish you all the best, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Absolute pleasure. Thanks.
I'm Shiv Mathur, winner of the 2022-2023 Cricket Hong Kong Junior Cricketer of the Year, and you're listening to the 8 for 52 podcast with Butters and Buschy.
Sky Plaza Road time. That's when we talk international cricket for the Hong Kong teams. And starting up, we'll talk about the men's team. They're in a Tri-Nation series in Malaysia against Malaysia and Papua New Guinea. And Butters, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, I'll cover that, mate. I'll cover that for us. 2 games played so far, and let's just say, well, the fact that our season hasn't started here really, and the rain has been so bad, which has significantly impacted any possibility of outdoor training. I think that's shown up in these first 2 games, especially the first game, Buschy.
All that rain has made us rusty.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I know. It's brilliant. That's one of your best. Yeah. First game against Malaysia. Malaysia 8 for a 1-8-1, and Hong Kong China rolled for just 79. Buschy, it's fair to say it wasn't the greatest performance from our quicks, including 11 wides. Spinners got us back into it somewhat. Gaz bagged 3 for 22, bowled really well off his 4 overs. Hong Kong China rolled with the bat for 79 with Big Bad Bubba top scoring with only 22. So that was a real, as you say, blow the cobwebs off, blow the rust off. Second game was against Papua New Guinea. Better effort with the ball, but there's still plenty of upside there, mate. There's still plenty of upside. PNG batting first, they got 163.
Niaz Ali took a wicket in his first over for Hong Kong.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous to see. He's worked for so many years for that opportunity, and he's got it, and it's absolutely tremendous. And look, again, a better performance with the bat. We lost, but we made 139, chasing 163 posted from PNG. Bubba again, top score, but this time he was 60 off 49, and he was really well supported, Buschy, with a partnership of bit over 50. I think it was 53 with Shiv Mathur, who made 20, so it was a good partnership.
Young fella doing very well, and I want to talk about Bubba's innings because there was an absolute doozy in this game.
Yeah.
Bubba's hit a 6. It's gone over the rope.
That's 6 runs.
Yeah, and the player from Papua New Guinea now, he's done that to try to be fancy and jump over the rope in the air and flick it back, and he did. He jumped in the air and he flicked it back to a player who caught it.
Yeah.
But
That's
firstly,
out.
now jumped after he'd gone over the rope, so he wasn't inside the field when he jumped.
He caught it over the rope.
He did his leap, but he was about a metre over the rope, and then threw it back in. Now, what is that?
That's okay.
It's either a 6 or an out.
No. If he doesn't ground his foot across the rope, if he throws it back in before his feet are grounded, it's ball in play still, right?
But he grounded his foot over the line before over the rope.
Oh, well, then that's 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's either one or the other.
Well, it's either out. If the guy's caught it on the fall, umpire decides there's only 2 options there.
2 options. 6.
It's like in the backyard playing at home. It's 6 or you're out. One or the other.
Guess what it was?
What did the umpires decide?
Dot ball.
Dot ball.
Dot ball.
How can they come up with dot ball?
No idea. Controversy. And he got out 2 balls later.
Well, it was all very, very strange down there.
I'm telling you now, it was a 6.
And there was a lot of debate. I think the game was probably held up for, 2 minutes at least, maybe 3 minutes.
Whatever they discussed the wrong thing.
Yeah, anyway, we got beaten, but it was a much better effort in the second game, and the boys can take a lot more confidence into the next game against Malaysia. and PNG, and we'll cover both of them on the podcast next week before the men go on to the actual Asia Games, which will be absolutely tremendous tournament. Now on to the actual Asian Games, Buschy. The women,
They're already there.
underway, yeah?
Yep, started September 19th in Hangzhou. They were playing Malaysia, who they played a series against before in Malaysia. Then they flew over to Hangzhou, played them again, lost again. Malaysia scoring 104 for 9 and Hong Kong all out for 82. Now, in that, we talked about it last week, the convoluted system of the Asian Games women's
Very
tournament,
complex.
where the winners of the first two groups go through immediately to the qualifier, and the two teams that lose go to a qualifying qualifier for the quarterfinals.
Sure.
So Malaysia's gone through, and the other team to go through, I think, was Indonesia. Am I correct there? I'll check.
They
but-
beat Mongolia in the
yes,
first game.
definitely
Yeah.
it was Indonesia.
Yeah.
So they've both gone through, and they've got their places in the quarterfinal. We had to play Mongolia today.
Yeah.
And it was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it. And Hong Kong went out there. They batted first. They put on 202 in their 20 overs. Captain Carey Chan with a Captain Carey knock, 70. Highest score ever for a woman in Asian Games cricket history. 202 by the Hong Kong team. Highest score ever at the Asian Games.
That would be tough for Mongolia to chase.
I watched Mongolia bat, and I am almost positive at least half that team had never picked a cricket bat up before.
Right. What did they finish on?
They were all out for 22.
Okay, so comprehensive victory. But generally, I'm interested. I mean, I think it's fantastic that cricket is being played in Mongolia, right? I don't know how many Mongolians are playing cricket, but to have cricket in that country and have it building and be representing their country in Asian Games is fantastic, right?
It is, but they were probably a league or two below the rest of the teams in the competition.
Yeah.
When they played Indonesia, they were all out for 10.
Hang on. So
Hong Kong didn't get a mess. Hong Kong didn't do as good as Indonesia did.
They scored twice as many against. So they're quite happy coming off with 22, right?
Yeah, probably.
Compared to Indonesia. What happened? How's Thailand going up there? Thailand women.
Thailand went straight through as the 5th qualifier for the quarterfinals.
Okay, so that's what we didn't know last week.
Yeah,
So
they didn't have to play in the group games. They're going straight through. Now, with their convoluted system, it's actually worked out quite well for the Hong Kong women's team.
Yeah, why's that?
Because Malaysia, who beat us, bang into the quarterfinals, straight up, India.
Oh, that's far from ideal for Malaysia.
Yeah, suboptimal.
Yeah.
We, after going through the qualifying qualifier into the quarterfinals, beating Mongolia by 180 odd runs, we play Bangladesh.
Really?
Yep. Of the two, I'd prefer to be playing Bangladesh.
The seeding sounds strange as far as the tournament is concerned, but that's a great outcome for the ladies if they go up
Absolutely.
against Bangladesh.
Genuine chance to get through to the semi-finals, which puts them into the final four and a chance.
Well, then you're a medal chance, right? You never know what
Absolutely.
can happen. It's just a day of cricket. You have 3 players in the T20, you have a day out. You never know what can happen, right?
Right, we're recording this on Thursday night, the 21st. The quarterfinal will be played by the time this podcast goes out. They're playing Bangladesh tomorrow in Hangzhou. So we'll have all the wrap. We'll probably know the entire...
We might slip in some breaking news.
I could
maybe. We'll see
probably,
how we go.
if I've got time, I'll see. If not, we'll do a full wrap next weekend. 'Cause we'll have all the finals details by then.
Hope, what's his name? Someone on the front foot and Justin Pearce are watching and not getting too upset that about the side who's there. I mean, everyone who's there is eligible to be there, and we wish them all the very best, the Hong Kong women, and they're doing us proud. Also coming up in the not-too-distant future, on the men's side, you heard Anshy talking about it earlier and how excited he is about it, the T20 World Cup qualifiers in Nepal, which is a massive opportunity for the men. We've actually got the groupings now. Group A is Nepal, Singapore, Oman and Malaysia. Group B is UAE, Bahrain, Hong Kong, plus a qualifier. There's still a qualifying tournament to come, which will be one of Kuwait, Maldives, Qatar or Saudi Arabia. So there's a real chance for the men there to get through to the semi-finals. Once you're there, win a semi, you're in the World Cup.
Now,
2 spots available, so it's huge.
as usual, you genuinely think perhaps Nepal and UAE are going to take up 2 of the semi-final spots. You try to grind your way into one of those 3rd or 4th, right?
Yeah, so you look at Group A, you think Nepal, Singapore, Oman and Malaysia. You'd say Nepal and Singapore, or Nepal, Oman would be favourites to take the 2 spots into the semis from there. And in our group, Group B, you'd say UAE and Hong Kong. So then you've got a semi-final against either Nepal or Oman. And, on our day, we can beat both of them.
Yep.
And then you've got to spawn the World Cup. So it's just tremendously exciting. And, we touched on it with Anshy before, the exposure that it would give for the game here, as well as the players as individuals as far as franchise league is concerned. It's just enormous, right?
We also off-air touched on it with Ange that if we're getting through, we're all packing our board shorts and we're all going to the West Indies next year.
Well, it just depends on the draw. Where do we want? Do we want to play Jamaica
Aruba,
first game?
Jamaica.
I wouldn't mind a game in Dallas either, just to get, put on the big American...
I'm going to relive Tom Cruise in Cocktail. I'm just going to get that Beach Boys song in my head. And
Kokomo, Aruba, Jamaica.
Exactly.
Ooh, I want to take...
I'm going to relive that. So if the boys get through, there's a chance you and I are going to go across and do some podcasting from over there.
I think it'd be more than a chance. I'm not sure how you're going to hold us back, but...
Hide me in Ange's cricket bag.
Maybe we need to get a bit of Beach Boys on next week. No, we're not allowed to play Beach Boys on here, are we? But maybe at home in private.
We might get
Watch
shut down
Cocktail.
from your terrible, terrible karaoke like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point as well. All right, that's it, I think, for Sky Plaza Road this week. We'll be back with more Sky Plaza Road next week. And now it's time for Buschy's Birthday Bonanza. And here we go, the highlight of everyone's week. It's birthdays with Buschy. Buschy's Birthday Bonanzas. Take us away, Buschy.
4 big birthdays today this week, Botters. First off, turning 18 on Friday, the day that this comes out, September 22nd. It is from Pakistan Association Cricket Club and the Under-19s Hong Kong squad, Alian Zahir Mohammed.
Oh, Alian, fantastic. Watched him since he was 10 years old, come through the ranks, part of the Under-19s now. Absolute tremendous cricketer and a tremendous fella as well. Happy birthday, Alian.
We might as well just stick with the Under-19s. Also on this Sunday, September 24th, turning 19, the captain of the Under-19s team also plays for Kowloon Cricket Club, Ahan Trivedi.
Ahan, again, another one I've watched from as a young boy coming through, now captaining the side. Is going to lead them down to Malaysia soon for the big Asia Cup qualifiers, where they're aiming for a spot in the big games against the Test Nations in December. Happy birthday, Ahan.
I don't know what the parents of the Under-19s team were doing 18 or 19 years ago, but we've got another Under-19s birthday this week. On Monday, September 25, turning 18 years old is KCC's Charlie Walsh.
Charlie Dusty Walsh, one of my favourite cricketers in Hong Kong, of any age for that matter. Dusty Walsh. Actually, Buschy, this is one for you. I'm actually out at Sha Tin Racecourse this Sunday for Charlie Walsh's birthday. His dad's booked a box out there and we're having a boys' day out for Charlie's birthday.
Not down at KCC watching the Under-15s.
We're out at Sha Tin, opening the wallet, having a little bit of a punt.
I know for a fact that poor Charlie's brother's on the field.
How old's Charlie? He's playing young Charlie's brother, Will. He's under-15s. He can't get onto Sha Tin.
He can't get in.
But when Charlie turns 18, he can get in, so we'll be out there having a boys' day in the box. Looking forward to it enormously. No cricket
If anyone from Hong Kong Jockey Club is listening, please do not do the maths on Charlie's birthday and that conversation. Final birthday for this week, turning 24 next Thursday. It is Cricket Hong Kong's Marina Lamplau.
Oh, happy birthday, Marina. That's fantastic. Happy birthday to you. No age, yes?
I already said it.
Oh, gee, I told you. Getting back to Dusty, I reckon there's something wrong with your database, right? Because he turns 18 today.
Wow, in the system, it says it's September 25.
He turns 18 today.
Well, is that just...
I know that
is that a fact, or is that just in case the HKCC...
No, absolute fact. Walsh family out for family dinner tonight before the Sha Tin races. Happy birthday, Dusty. Bushy's got to work on his database. There's no problems with the Hong Kong Jockey Club. That is it this week for Bushy's Birthday Bonanza. During the week, he's going to work on his database, and we'll be back with it. The highlight of the week, Bushy's Birthday Bonanza.
Hello guys, my name is Mohammad Ghazanfar. I'm national player. I play for USRC, and you are listening to 852 podcast, Borders and Buschy.
Oh, sadly, Buschy, we're coming to an end. It's episode 4, comes to an end, but what a big one we've had. The outs and ins, where we actually had some cricket. The ins and outs. It's 8 matches this weekend. It's fantastic. We heard from Anshuman Rath.
That was so great.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was awesome.
Absolutely lovely gentleman.
Yeah, top fella. Been up at HKCC to interview him. Was lovely, actually, being in Hong Kong Cricket Club to do that interview. It was absolutely beautiful.
First time we've been invited up there.
That's right.
Hint, hint,
That's
nudge,
right.
nudge, wink, wink.
Say no-
HKCC.
Say no more. And Anchi's off to India to do some training, which is fantastic, leading up to the T20 World Cup qualifiers, which we covered in Sky Plaza Road, of course, and we wrapped it up with everyone's favourite Buschy's birthday bonanza.
I would like to interject,
Yep.
Your Honour. I have the ESPN Crick info page up for one Charles Walsh, Charlie Dusty Walsh, and it says right-hand bat, wicketkeeper, born September 25, 2005.
I don't care. Do your audit process better. That's wrong.
I can only go with the data that's supplied.
Get into ESPN this
I
week,
think
Buschy.
the Walsh family needs to go on to ESPN
No.
Crick info.
You're the one with the problem with it. You get onto ESPN.
I am not-
You sort it out during the week. We'll cover it in the podcast next week.
I'm not calling every player to confirm their birthday. They're just going to have to make sure that it's in the system correctly.
We want to have, if you still want this to be the highlight of the podcast each week, I would suggest and recommend that you do a full audit on your birthdays. There's shown to be errors within.
Well, Charlie's birthday should have been called out last week.
Well, why didn't you call it out last week then?
Because it says it was this week.
Check the database. As I said, that's it for the 8 for 52 this week. Buschy will do the check during the week.
I'll
We'll be
do
back
the
with you
check.
next week.
Bottles will try to not pick too many fights on Twitter this week.
No, I'm happy to take it forward if they want to reach out either on the DM on Insta or Twitter. We're up there on Twitter, on X, we're on Insta, we're on Facebook, where no one really follows us, but that's okay. We're the 8 for 52 podcast, and we'll be back with episode 5 next week. Goodbye for now.
Ciao.
The 8 for 52 theme song is The Coin Toss from the band The Duckworth-Lewis Method. Find them on Apple iTunes and YouTube and download that song and all their other cricket-related music.
The 8 for 52 podcast is edited, produced and published by Matt Botfield and Aaron Bush for Trip Ahead Limited. Copyright 2023.